Welcome to the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, where we bring strategies and knowledge that will help you succeed in Idaho's ever-changing real estate market. I'm Jonna Weber. I'm an Idaho investor, realtor, and entrepreneur. I've been successfully investing for over 2 decades and helping countless others do the same. We'll bring you real stories from successful investors, expert advice, and insights to help you build generational wealth through the power of real estate. Whether you're just getting started or well on your way, let's jump in. I am so excited you've joined me here today. It is the perfect time of year to start new things, fresh starts. I don't know about you, but I love fall, and September is that perfect time for new beginnings. If you haven't heard me before, I'm Jonna Weber, and this sounds a little bit different than maybe season 1 that you've heard of our podcast, formerly the Boise Reen Show. Yes, you have a new voice, and we have a new name. Obviously, I'm not Matt, and Matt Osanicki was such an incredible host for season 1, and I'm so thankful, Matt, for your involvement and how you took this podcast to the next level. Thank you so much for your participation and for jumping in with this vision, and we can't wait to see much more of you in the future and wish you all the best. And we have a new name, the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, which I am so excited about. I'm obviously an Idaho real estate investor, and if you're listening, there's a good chance that you might be too, or maybe it's something that you've wanted to add to your resume as you look to find ways to create wealth through real estate. So the new name is Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, and I'm going to go back to the genesis a little bit, how the original show came about. I'm so happy that we were able to launch last year as the Boise Reen Show. As many of you know, we have a network, a community called the Boise Real Estate Investor Network, and got together last year with a couple of good friends of mine that were hugely instrumental in getting the podcast off the ground. And Matt Osanicki was not only our tremendous host, he was also a key sponsor for season 1 with Your Stay, which is a great short-term rental management company. And then also Corby Goad with Boise Turnkey was another very instrumental leader as we started up the podcast and a sponsor. Boise Turnkey is an incredible property management company and real estate team focused on working almost exclusively with investors. We're so glad to have them in our Boise Reen community, so please reach out to Your Stay or Boise Turnkey anytime you have those needs. We're just incredibly grateful for those 24 episodes that were in season 1. If you're just listening to our show for the first time and are curious about some of our wonderful guests and episodes we had last year, please go back to the beginning and listen to the Boise Reen Show. I highly recommend it. I wanted to touch on a little bit about our podcast guests. If you listen to season 1, you have listened undoubtedly to a huge variety. And one thing that may not be apparent and certainly will continue to be the case throughout the next season is that most, if not all of our guests are members of our Boise Real Estate Investor Network community. So they're invested in what we are doing as a network to help other investors go and grow. Super excited about that. The diversity that we have within our group is amazing, from that person that's just starting on their journey and we want to hear about what those first steps are that they're taking, to somebody that has set themselves up for true financial freedom through the power of real estate. Are you a busy person ready to dive into real estate investing but not quite sure where to start? I've got you covered. I've put together a free guide with 6 practical tips to kickstart your real estate journey. These tips are designed to help you avoid common pitfalls and set yourself up for success. Head over to boisereen.com/kickstart to download your copy today. And let's make your first steps count. So here we are now, season 2, Idaho Real Estate Investor Show. What are we doing here? What are we going to talk about? And how did we get this name? I am so thrilled as we've created this community over the last year and talk with more and more investors. We've had people that have aligned with us and joined with us, not just in the Boise area, but through the state of Idaho. So that's been really speaking to me as we develop more and more available for the whole state. I'm going to share a little bit about my genesis with the state, and hopefully this will put things in perspective. I absolutely have a love for the Treasure Valley in Boise, and that's where I make my home today, and that's where my heart is. But I also have a piece of my heart throughout the rest of the state. And so a lot of people don't know that my roots go beyond Boise. And just as a little touch point, I'm mentioning these towns because if you're listening, you're in one of these towns, I would love to hear from you and get a shout out so we can connect next time I'm in one of these areas, or if you have questions about your local market. So my parents, or my dad, I should say, and my grandparents are actually from Sandpoint, Idaho. I actually graduated from Sandpoint and have interest in real estate up there to this day. So we've got Sandpoint covered. My husband was born down in Moscow, Idaho, and we were both Vandals. My parents are Vandals. My daughter is a Vandal, and we like to invest in Moscow, Idaho. So that is a deep place in our heart. In addition to that, he's lived in Coeur d'Alene, Kellogg. Many of you know that little town outside of Coeur d'Alene, and even as far north as Dalton Gardens. So we've got North Idaho covered there. And then we've spent so much time down in McCall. But if we head down to southern Idaho, we've got roots in Midvale and Sweet, Ola, if you know any of those little towns. I would love to hear from an investor from one of those little towns. And then also my mom grew up in Caldwell, little known fact, but she was a Caldwell Cougar. And my grandfather was the manager of the King's Five and Dime store that was in downtown Caldwell for years and years and years. Her original roots were in Rexburg, and I've got family in Pocatello as well. So I just am very proud of that heritage, and I want to celebrate investing opportunities and just the citizens in general for the entire state of Idaho, and also know that there is a need for real education to be able to help people have the keys, have the opportunities to learn how to truly create wealth in real estate. So that's a little bit about the name change, Idaho Real Estate Investors Show. I hope others are excited about that. And the reason beyond that we are continuing on with season 2 and have some great things lined up is because I feel right now in our economy, and particularly in Idaho, we're feeling a reverb of things going on that may feel a little bit beyond our control. We've got population growth like we've never seen before. I know when I've talked to anyone, whether I'm in North Idaho or whether I'm in the Treasure Valley right now that's lived here for more than a couple of years, we're feeling, like literally feeling the growth and sometimes growing pains that are happening here. We're also dealing with a market that is so different than when I started in the investing realm, and certainly when I started as an agent. I've been a realtor for, 11 years here in the Treasure Valley of Idaho and watched real estate very, very closely throughout the state. The game's the same, but the way that we play the game has changed a lot. And what worked for me 20 years ago, 15 years ago, isn't exactly the same as what's going to work for people in 2024, 2025. So we're talking about that. We're having conversations. We're shifting and zigging and zagging and really paying attention to what's happening in our market so that we can set ourselves up for success. We're having a lot of people in Idaho turning to other parts of the country and even the world to invest right now, and that's a fascinating conversation. But most of all, within this podcast, I am so excited to showcase the real estate investor next door. And that is the person that you may not have heard of, that may not be all over a Bigger Pockets episode. We'll have some of those too. And I've been fortunate enough to be a guest on Bigger Pockets. It's a really great opportunity. We're going to have some really high-level guests. But what I want to celebrate the very, very most is that investor next door that is quietly building wealth for themselves and their families, so that they can set themselves up for the next generation, but not just that, set themselves up for time and financial freedom in their own lifetime. That is huge. There's an epidemic of people living kind of lives of quiet desperation, and I applaud the hard worker and the person that goes to work day after day after day and is okay with that, and that's great. And we have investors like that as well. We've got investors that are working towards something, and that's to get that time and financial freedom as soon as possible. And then we're working with investors that are just looking to build onto their retirement so that they have options and they're not relying on Social Security when the time comes. Or maybe they're taking that, but they've got another couple of properties that are going to make a meaningful difference in their lives. And I remember when that kind of thought happened to me. It was a sheer moment that I can remember clear as day right now when I was a stay-at-home mom, and we had one income source in our family, and we truly were living like that old adage, paycheck to paycheck. And we were in the middle of a recession, and I remember thinking if something were to happen and we lost that one paycheck, what would we do and where would that mortgage payment come from? And it didn't feel great because I didn't have an answer. And so part of my mission is to help people have that answer so there's that peace of mind that you have other cash flow sources and other assets in your portfolio beyond that single paycheck that you're relying on, and most likely from a big corporation. So that's my mission, is to help others on that journey and have that aha to build that financial independence for themselves. Like I said, whether it's one property, one other source of income stream, or whether that's truly building a life beyond what they currently can think or imagine. And so super excited about some of the guests we have lined up as we go forward. We're going to be interviewing the best of the best from the Boise Real Estate Investor Network that have invested in themselves to get themselves to that next level, and we're going to delve into how they did it. And it's here's a little hint. It's not about success overnight. It's not about paying for a huge guru. It's not about just finding this super shiny secret that nobody can find out about unless you, go to the next level in a program. There's a place for those, and we'll talk about that. But it's about the reality of how people did it, what's working in today's market, what's not. It's about really finding out your hyper-local market and what's going on. I'm looking forward to interviewing people that truly have the pulse on future development and real needs and issues related to real estate in our state. It's so important, and our economy depends on it, and our livelihood depends on it, and our financial freedom depends on it. So we need to be informed. That's a little bit of overview about what we are planning for Season 2 with Idaho Real Estate Investor Show. And we are constantly wanting to bring the most value possible. If you have an idea of a topic or a burning question that we can answer for you here on the show, we would love to do that. I'm going to put it out here right now. You could go ahead and, if you're watching this on social media, you can leave it in the comments, or you can DM me right on social media at Jonna Weber, and let me know your idea, your question, and we will do our best to address it on a future episode. So thank you for allowing me to step in to this vision and into this role and make a difference along with you in the lives of Idahoans. Have a great day. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining me here at the Idaho Real Estate Investors Show. I hope you're leaving with new insights and inspiration to help you truly grow wealth through real estate. If you enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with those that can benefit from it. Go and grow, and I'll catch you on the next episode.